Welcome to another episode of the Loafing Around podcast, a podcast where we talk about all things Pokemon, and each week I am joined by a unique guest that is known in the Pokemon community, be it a YouTuber, streamer, announcer, competitive player, and so on, to hang out with them and ask them some questions about their passions, opinions, and experiences with the Pokemon franchise. I am your host, Espy, a longtime Pokemon fan and a Pokemon content creator. Today I am joined by a Pokemon YouTuber that would likely beat any of us listening in a competitive Pokemon match. Unless, of course, PokeAim or Wolfie is listening, in which case I offer an official challenge on this content creator's behalf. The ball's in your court now. And we're back. Welcome to the show, Lord Emvee. Thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing today?
Absolutely. I am doing fine. It is late at night. Come back from my outdoor adventures. And you already know I'm ready out here today to spread some knowledge to you all about myself and about just, I don't know, things in general. Whatever I'm asked, I'll just spread knowledge. You already know.
Alrighty, my man. So, your Twitter claims that you can build a team around any Pokemon. It's a pretty bold claim, but your YouTube channel seems to kind of support that statement. Do you want to tell us a bit about what you do over on YouTube? Kind of give us a scoop on your channel. Tell us about your teams.
Yeah, absolutely. So I focus mainly on competitive Pokemon. It is a bit of a niche kind of a thing in the whole Pokemon community. But however, I do believe that I am one of the top showdown uploaders for that. I upload competitive Pokemon content specifically focusing around featuring what I like to call heat Pokemon. And what I mean by heat is Pokemon that are underrated or not seen often in the sort of norm, I would say. And I do claim that I can build a team around any Pokemon. I've supported that through my videos by just bringing the most fire sets you can imagine. And yeah, I literally like take a set, try to bring something you've never seen before and make it work. Then that's what I've done for most of my videos, if not all of them.
Yeah, definitely. I know you've had some pretty crazy videos. Even your most recent one, I think, with the Pikachu set. That was pretty great with the focus punch. Is so good.
Yeah, that set was crazy too. And I made some absolutely fire plays. Like I was using a focus punch Pikachu, which is amazing because if you have the item Light Ball, which doubles your attack, doubles your special attack too, but your attack is great for focus punch, which destroyed a Blissey in one hit, which is an annoying Pokemon. If anyone that plays Pokemon knows Blissey is annoying if you don't have a physical attacker. And then all kinds of other stuff. Like it's just crazy. Like so many things. Like there's a lot of people that use Pokemon that are kind of like, this is a good Pokemon, I'm going to use it because it's good. And then it's like, but here's a Pokemon that's not seen as much, that can take people by surprise, that can still be good. I believe in winning with your favorite Pokemon. I believe in winning with Pokemon that you don't technically see at all. So, that's kind of what I do.
Yeah, definitely. It absolutely makes your channel super entertaining to watch. And as, kind of your slogan, the thing you like to say, kind of bring the heat. I know that's you're the heat connoisseurs on Discord. You're always talking about bringing the heat on, on your channel, on your Twitter, it's a pretty common thing. And you've definitely proved that.
Exactly. No, but I appreciate you've been, I've been seeing you, you've been liking the tweets, on the Discord, the vids and stuff like that. Appreciate the support.
Absolutely,
of course.
Got to support other content creators, especially ones you enjoy.
Indeed.
Spread the word, spread the love. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and get into the trivia segment. So how this next segment is going to work, we're going to have a little game for you and the listeners. I'm going to ask you a total of 5 trivia questions all about competitive Pokemon. And I don't want you to answer them quite yet because I will give you and the audience the rest of the episode to think about the answers. So you think you got these?
Oh man, we'll see, bro. We'll see. But I think if it's competitive, probably I might have the knowledge. I might.
Yeah, I figured black and white anime wasn't really your specialty, so
Yeah, that's good. If you ask me any like anime questions or whatever, or some kind of like I don't know, like when was Aerodactyl born? What year was it born? I have no idea, bro.
Alrighty, so question 1. Sejun Park is a professional Pokemon player. In 2014, he won Worlds, becoming the first South Korean player to do so. Not only this, but he won with the help of a very unconventional Pokemon. What Pokemon was that? Alrighty, so now for a Smogon question for you. So, name 2 of the 3 Pokemon introduced in Gen 8 that are not legendary or mythical that are in the Smogon Uber tier. Alrighty, question 3. This pure psychic Pokemon has been banned in most generations it has been found in due to the combination of its ability that prevents escaping and its moveset. What is this Pokemon? Question 4. In Generation 6, a new Smogon tier was created called Anything Goes, largely in part to one incredibly powerful Pokemon that was too strong for Ubers. What Pokemon was that? Alrighty, so this one is the last question. So, back in Generation 1, there were 4 Pokemon that dominated the scene, often called the Big Four. Name 2 of the Big Four. And like I said, we'll go over them again at the end of the episode, and we'll have you say the answers on there. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll give you your score.
Excellent.
Alrighty, so next we're going to move on to a segment called RKS News, where we cover the hot news topics in the Pokemon community. So the first piece of news is actually about a very old Pokemon game. It's called Pokemon Puzzle League, and it's coming to Nintendo Switch online on July 25th. Have you ever played this game?
Pokemon Puzzle League. I have not. So did this game come out? What year did this game come out in?
It came out on the 64 originally, the Nintendo 64, if that tells you anything. I mean,
My parents were strict, and I did not get a console until my aunt bought me a GameCube, and my parents didn't even want to buy me video games when I was a kid. So when I had a GameCube, I played that for a bit, and then so my first like handheld console was Game Boy Advance. So I never really touched the Nintendo 64. Bro, let me tell you, bro, Asian parents are strict, man. Like they will not like they want you to work, they want you to focus. Like I only got like when I was growing up, I only got 30 minutes of playing games on Friday and Saturday.
Dang.
And that's it. That's all I got. And I didn't even get a console till Game Boy Advance. But then, of course, me, like, being the sneaky kid I was back in the day, I would, shirk off the work and then just like play, in my room secretly on my Game Boy Advance. And then I have the friends in like, the neighborhood that I'd like go and meet up with and play with them. So I never played Puzzle League before. But I did play pinball. If that,
that was a good one. That one was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Puzzle League's like, like the mobile games you see nowadays, like the Candy Crush where you just swipe and get the line of the colors and it knocks down. You have a timer. Yeah. It's just, I honestly like forgot that was a Pokemon game until they announced this. And I was like, oh yeah, they did make a game like that.
Yeah. I mean, that was fun, man. Like you had to complete the Pokedex with the thing,
Yeah. Pinball was super good.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Next up is some Pokemon Masters news. And the news is actually kind of crazy. From now until July 31st, there's an anime collaboration special with guaranteed drops. And what's even crazier is that Ash Ketchum is actually going to be in Masters. He's officially in Masters now. So it's pretty wild. It's probably his biggest video game appearance. I thought it would be a different game than Pokemon Masters, but still pretty shocking. Do you watch the anime at all?
So I watched the anime from Gen 1 through 4, and then I watched a little bit of 5 here and there, especially tuned in when Team Rocket started becoming like good at what they do until they started becoming bad again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then I think I tuned in for a little bit of Sun and Moon when I saw Ash won the league. Spoiler alert, but I'm sure everybody knows by now because it was literally everywhere. So... And then, I haven't really been tuning into like more than that. But for Pokemon Masters in particular, I did used to actually play the game. And I think like my best trainer that I like leveled up or whatever was Karen.
Oh,
and Karen's quote was like the whole thing about, strong Pokemon, weak Pokemon, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's the motto I kind of live by. Like, you you can make literally any Pokemon work if you want and kind of thing. So that was like the strongest training I had. But then I deleted that game, or when I got a new phone, like I didn't really install it or anything because my money's being drained by Fire Emblem Heroes anyway. So like, why would I want Pokemon Masters to drain my money anymore? Like, I don't need two things siphoning off my money. One's enough, you know?
Yeah, no, that was absolutely true. I downloaded Pokemon Masters, but I very rarely played it, and that my urge to spend money on that game was too great. So
Yeah, have you tried Fire Emblem Heroes, bro? Like, actually, one of my good friends in the community, he used to play Pokemon as well. You know, Phoenix Master. I don't know if you know him or not, but he's a really good friend of mine. He is the number one Fire Emblem Heroes content creator. He's like probably like 300K, 400K subs or whatever.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, he's pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah, like he like switched over from Pokemon. He used to play like Pokemon, competitive Pokemon pretty religiously. Then he found my channel. We kind of like connected on Skype like 8 years ago or something. And then he like was like, oh, like bro, like I think I don't like this game anymore. Or no, he liked the game, but he wanted to like try something different. And then he switched to like Fire Emblem after that. And then now he's been killing the game with that game. So then I've been like playing that, and then I got into Masters, and then I was like, oh shoot, like this game is like gonna drain my money too because like I want this character. And like nah, delete, save myself, lifeline. But yeah,
do
like,
yourself
you know,
a favor.
it's a fun, yeah, exactly. But you know, Masters was pretty fun when I played it. But yeah, that's I mean, I haven't really been seeing like the new update stuff and everything like that. I just know like there's a bunch of interesting characters with interesting mons that have come out. Like I think the last thing I remember was like the Giovanni's Mewtwo. Like that was pretty fire.
Yeah, they have a lot of interesting ones. Like Cynthia, when she was put in there, she had a Komo in her Signa suit, I believe was what that's called. But yeah, it was like shocking that they were like, and Cynthia has a Komo in this. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's fun that they get to do like unique pairs like that too. You know, kind of give people
them like
from
their
newer
typing,
generations.
like, you know, exactly.
Alrighty, in Pokemon Go news, Pokemon Go had its 6th anniversary last week, which is pretty wild. I can't believe it's been 6 years, and they're celebrating with party hat Pokemon such as Charmeleon, Charizard, and Costume Cake Pikachu, or Cake Costume Pikachu, which can all be found shiny. And did you play Pokemon Go when it first came out 6 years ago, apparently?
Absolutely, bro. You're telling me all the games that I've deleted off my phone, but like I'll give you my backstory for sure. I did remember playing Pokemon Go when there was like a huge like news announcement, and then everybody was like outside. Like people who had never gone outside before in their life, had never touched grass, started touching grass because of Pokemon Go, going outside, catchy Pokemon, and just like playing this game. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do that too. So, you know, I downloaded it. Some of my friends downloaded it. My cousin downloaded it. We all like kind of went out together to a spot that's kind of like about 3 to 4 minutes from my house. And it's like a hot spot for Pokespots. And we would go around this kind of a boardwalk lake kind of a thing, and we just like walk around in circles, just like catching Pokemon and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. We'd go to like on vacation trips and do all that kind of stuff. But then, like, you know, after like about 6 months to 12 months or so, that I kind of like got out of it because like there was the hype died down, like in terms of like a general population audience. There's still, of course, a group that does religiously play it and still plays it to this day.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that the game is dead in particular, but from that kind of like it de-escalated a lot from where it was like booming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it when it first came, I mean, everyone was playing it. Literally everyone. So like, it's crazy to think that was 6 years ago because like literally so many people you'd see out and about, or you'd see people like in the same area on their phone. You'd be like, they're playing Pokemon Go.
No, exactly. And so like, I mean, like even at work and stuff like that, when I meet people, it's like, they're like, so do you do anything that's for fun? Like, yeah, I got a YouTube channel and I upload Pokemon content and I got this many subscribers or whatever. And they're like, oh, do you play Pokemon Go? It's like, like that's the only thing they know. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like for the audience that doesn't know much about Pokemon, but like, yeah, you know, it was a super trending thing. And then I used to play it a lot, but then, you know, after some time, it's like, it just kind of died down a lot for not only me, but I think just for like a lot of people in general. I know a lot of people still play it, but like it's not as many people as before. So like, you know, the hype is kind of not there for me either for what it is right now, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a kind of like a pretty decent sized gap in between the Gen 1 Pokemon and the Gen 2 Pokemon. I think that was a part of the setback, was that people, you know, they finished what they wanted to and they didn't want to keep catching the same Pokemon over and over again. So it died down and never recovered in the same way, I don't think.
Yeah, I think the point that I stopped or that I like, because I got a new phone and then just certain things like didn't make the cut on my new phone. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think I stopped with when the shadow Pokemon and stuff with like the Team Rocket thing. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like I played a little bit of that era and then that kind of like and then I stopped a little bit after that.
definitely. Alrighty, and to wrap it up, we are going into your neck of the woods, Emvee, with a fun online competition called Jump Magikarp Competition. So the sign up is right now until July 21st, and the competition is July 22nd through the 24th. You can have one Pokemon on your team that isn't a Magikarp and one Pokemon on your team that is a Magikarp. So if anyone listening likes to do Sword and Shield online competitive battles in VGC, you can sign up and get your get your Magikarp battle on.
Interesting. I actually did not know that was a thing. So, so you can have literally any Pokemon paired with Magikarp.
They have like certain ones. I don't think they can be fully evolved. I think is the catch, and they're like no legendaries. I don't think, but there's still quite a lot
No
you can do with that.
legendaries, not fully evolved. Mythicals.
I don't think. I think legendaries,
Uh,
mythicals, like for the VGC, they consider it the same thing. I think so, but they still. It's there's some little cup or whatever you want to call it, Pokemon that can do some serious damage. So it'll be interesting to see what teams people come up with.
So if they can't be fully evolved, can they be like middle evolutions or no?
I think so. Yeah, it looked like because I thought I saw. Think I saw.
Can they be Pokemon that
Ivysaur.
can't evolve?
I would assume yeah on that. I think yes.
If they're Pokemon that can't evolve and they're Pokemon that can't be fully evolved,
There's a lot of there's a lot of weird rules about it, but I just couldn't resist talking about the Magikarp competition.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, if you really want to benefit Magikarp, you would run it with like Politoed maybe.
Okay, yeah,
Because
yeah.
Politoed gives it rain with Swift Swim, and then Politoed, you know what you could do with Politoed? Let me see, Magikarp's moves. Does it even get Protect? Let's see. Is it only a 2v2 or something?
Yeah, 2v2.
Um,
Magikarp and then whatever other Pokemon.
I was thinking like, I don't even know how it works in doubles. If it is it doubles or single battle?
Doubles, as I believe, yeah, seems.
Doubles is 2v2 doubles?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Because
Does
like you could
Magikarp
just like
have
use
Swift
Politoed
Swim?
and Perish Song. What's that?
Does Magikarp have Swift Swim?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Man, that's wild.
It does have Swift Swim, yeah. So like you could like, I mean, you could do like some kind of like Sash Flail set with like Hydro Pump and Swift Swim with Rain, Politoed. But like I don't know how it works. If it's like Perish Song, like who dies first kind of thing. Is like speed tier wise, or I don't know. If it's speed tier wise, like, and if like the faster Mon dies or something, it's like they lose first kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I get you. That might,
I think that's how it works, if I'm not mistaken.
I was
If
about to say,
that's
it might
how it
be.
works, then you just do Politoed Magikarp and then just set your speed to be slow or whatever, or like for Politoed, so that it's the last mon that dies, and then you just win, kind of.
Yeah. Either way, super excited to see the teams that come from it. Should be a fun time. It's interesting little competition. Fun things like that kind of keep the game alive.
Mm.
But no, so kind of going off of that, you were kind of building a team around the Magikarp there. And earlier we said you could build a team around any Pokemon. So I was wondering if I could throw out 3 random Pokemon to you, and each one that I throw out, if you could suggest some Pokemon to go with them, maybe like just 1 or 2.
Oh, absolutely. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, so first up, we have Go-Goat.
Okay, Go-Goat. So if I were to build around Go-Goat, which keep in mind is currently not released in Sword and Shield, but if it was, so right now it's usable in National Dex. And actually, I just recorded a video with Joey Pokegame where we kind of did like a movie marathon where we used a bunch of Pokemon, and one of the sets was Go-Goat. And a common Pokemon that we paired it with was Rillaboom because of the Grassy Pelt ability, where if Grassy Terrain is active, then your defense is times 1.5. So a set like that with Bulk Up could be pretty good. So overall, if you're running Go-Goats, you are running it with, you'd obviously want to run it in some sort of a kind of like a Bulk Up set would be great. If you could run like with Bulk Up, then you'd have maybe Horn Leech, which would be your Grass Stab, and then Earthquake for coverage versus Steals, which would wall you. But then, you have your Flying Steals, which are kind of like, going to be a problem. So then you're going to want to pair that with Magnezone. And so like Go is one of those kind of Pokemon which you want to like use Magnezone or some other trapper to get rid of like your kind of counters to Go-Goat, which are like certain steel flyings like Skarmory, Corviknight, whatever. So you do Go-Goat, Magnezone, and then you kind of go from there. Maybe have Rillaboom on the team as well, and then kind of just apply other mons. Like, for instance, Go-Goat can't break through Clefable if it's a setup set. Then you're going to want something that can be Clefable, like some kind of poison or steel type. Like maybe you have Magnezone, for instance, is good. And then, of course, your Stealth Rock or your Defogger, etc. So that's how I'd go about doing that initially, just for Go-Goat. I actually did a Go-Goat video. If I look it up here, let's see. What was on my Go-Goat team that I made? I had actually, on my Go-Goat team, I didn't even have Magnezone because I had a Volturn core of Rotom-Wash Landorus and then a bunch of other stuff. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can use Go-Goat. I don't think Corviknight was in that generation anyway, so.
Yeah, definitely, though. Good team, though. Solid build, good reasoning.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so let's go again with Poliwrath.
Ooh, Poliwrath. Okay, so with Poliwrath, there are one of two options you could go with, right? So first of all, like whenever you build a team, right? And when you have your Pokemon that you want to build around, you got to decide what set you're going to use, and then you got to build off of that set based on what your set is. So, like for instance, Poliwrath can be either offensive or defensive. If you're running a defensive set with Poliwrath, you're going to want to run Circle Throw, which it's kind of like a Whirlwind, but does damage, and actually does some pretty good damage with like 60 power stab move. If you're running it defensively, right? With Water Absorb, and then like Scald, and then Rest Sleep Talk, for example. And then on that kind of build, you can easily put it on like a balanced team or any kind of stall team for that matter. I've seen it on stall teams a lot more on this generation in particular. And it's really great in dealing with certain Pokemon, such as it sponges hits from Pokemon like, I don't know, like because of Water Absorb, it's like Volcanion is an immunity to that. You can deal with Bisharp easily. Keldeo to an extent is pretty good. Like you can Circle Throw and stuff. I don't know. Like a bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Another option is running it offensively with Swift Swim. So with Swift Swim, the most common Poliwrath set you could run is Belly Drum. And so you're going to want to pair that Pokemon with Pelipper, because Pelipper is like the best rain setter in Sword and Shield. And then like maybe a ground type like Seismitoad or something. I love Seismitoad on rain teams because it is an electric immunity, which rain teams really appreciate. Ferrothorn for like grass type attacks now, and then like there's just so many different things you can do with Poliwrath. Let me think here. I guess what else? Probably like there's two options for it. Otherwise, you can probably run it with like a bulk up set or something. Could work as well, but I really do like the Belly Drum set the most. Actually, back in Black and White OU Gen 5, there was a really powerful rain team that I used, because back then rain was infinite weather, right? Yeah. Infinite weather back in Generation 5.
Rain was king,
and
in
so
Gen 5.
It was the king, absolute king, and that was the that was like literally the peak of what you call weather wars, which are like, if your opponent has rain and you have sand, that's a weather war right there. Like you are gonna fight to the death to make sure your weather is the last thing standing. If it's sun, like sun was super viable, hail was super viable, rain was super viable. Literally every weather back in Gen 5 was super viable. And so Poliwrath, for example, was seen a lot back then as well, because rain was infinite, right? You could Belly Drum and stuff like that. So there was like one team that I had with like Belly Drum, Poliwrath, and Jinx, and like it was super, super solid. But like it just depends, like I feel like Rain Poliwrath is probably the most broken Poliwrath set you could run. That's like kind of the direction I would go in building a team. With Poliwrath, it's going the rain route.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally makes sense. Definitely two very solid teams. The last one, I will give you a little bit more of a challenge. So we will throw out Crabominable.
Ooh. It's been a minute since I've seen that mon because it's not released in Sword and Shield.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, with Crabominable, notice how the attack stat is extremely high. The speed stat is extremely low. So the way that I would go with Crabominable is on a Trick Room team. Now, one of my mottos, of course, is never bring Trick Room to the Trick House. for obvious reasons, because literally out of 1,000 games of Trick Room, I've won like 909. Maybe out of like 2,000 games, I've won 1,998. Let's just say that. Maybe I've lost like one or two Trick Room teams here and there, which have never been captured on a video because of the fact that on a video I've never lost a Trick Room in my life. But that's the saying. However, if you were to build a good team around Crabominable, Trick Room would be a great option for you because, let's say, for instance, you could pair it with like, I love Uxie a lot. Uxie has a great way of setting up rocks, having Magic Bounce to bounce back, Taunt to bounce back, other hazards and other status conditions or whatever, and then Memento, which is great to reduce attack, special attack, whatever, to bring in your next Pokemon safely. So Crabominable can come in, it can go for the nice base 132 close combat for that what's the ice physical
The icicle
what's that
crash,
called again? No, it has Ice Hammer, right? Was what it has, I think. Pretty sure. Like, so it's not released in Sword and Shield because it's not available. But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was its signature move. It was Ice Hammer.
Yes, Ice Hammer is the signature move of Crabominable.
Exactly. So, you'd have your close combat, your Ice Hammer, this and that. Like, have Uxie set up Trick Room or Cresselia, for example, set up Trick Room, Ice Hammer, etc. And then, you'd obviously want to pair it with other Trick Room sweepers like Alolan Marowak or Crawdont, for example. If you want to have the double Crab Core, right? You have Crabominable and Crawdont. Both of them kind of are pretty good with each other because Crawdont's immune to the fire and takes the hits here and there. But there's a good amount of options. Like with Crabominable, I think a Trick Room team is good. If you don't want to use it on Trick Room, that's fine too. It still is a really good wall breaker because of the fact that its attack is so high. So you could even just, outside of Trick Room, run it with enough speed to outrun, say, for example, Corviknight, for example, and then just Swords Dance. Does it get Swords Dance? Probably not, but it gets like Bulk Up. Or you could just run Choice Band and just run it outside of Trick Room too. That's fine. You just have to make sure that this Pokemon can outrun a lot of the slower walls. It can outrun Toxapex like easily without much speed investment. You're going to have to put a little bit of more speed investment if you want to outrun like Tyranitar, Clefable, Corviknight, etc. Here's the thing with like these kind of like slow but strong attackers, right? You could either run it on Trick Room easily, or you could run it outside of Trick Room, but then you have enough speed to like outrun the walls. That's what you have to aim for when you're running these kind of Pokemon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those are three very solid teams. Great explanations. Very much bringing some validity to your claim of building a team around any Pokemon, being able to do that on the fly. So you said you've been doing competitive since Gen 5?
Correct. So actually, even before I was doing competitive, like I was kind of getting into it, like in terms of like the games and stuff, but I wasn't very good at all. Like I just like, I was thinking like strategically. I was like, oh, like I was like literally, so I was playing Pokemon Coliseum XD, and then I was like, maybe I can give a Salic Berry to this Heracross and then have Reversal or something and Endure. And then I was like trying like all these like different strategies and things like that. And I wasn't really in like that whole, like, I wasn't like a good competitive player back then, but I was like trying to think more in that direction. Then when I got into Gen 5, I tried to build a team. Like one of my friends introduced me to Pokemon Online, which was the simulator before Pokemon Showdown. This was the main competitive hub for people to go and test their teams and try to ladder up and be the best they can be in competitive. So I tried to load up a team and in OU, and I could not do that because I had a Kyogre on my team, and I was like, wait, why can't I load this up? So then I started learning about tiers and stuff like that. I started learning like kind of like how competitive worked, and that certain Pokemon were not allowed because of how broken they were and things like that. In fact, I used to think so competitively that I would like hack in my Gen 4 Diamond and Pearl game, and I would make my Slacking have huge power or some other ability that it shouldn't have had. Oh, no, it had Truant, but I gave it Skill Swap. And it can't learn Skill Swap, but like I was thinking ahead, like I was like, if Slacking didn't have that ability, like what would it have? It would have Skill Swap, but it can't really learn that. I would beat my friends with it until one friend noticed that, like Slacking actually can't learn Skill Swap. How did you get that? And I was like, oh shoot, I disappeared. I was gone. I was like, I disappeared. Like that's it. Like he exposed me. He found out. Yeah. So then I started like learning like the right way of like being good at competitive. And then my first Gen 5 team. So at the time, there was something called Dream World. If you know about Dream World, those were the abilities that you can't normally find. And so Dream World OU was a huge thing back in the early Gen 5. game where, Pokemon like Chandelure, for example, had Shadow Tag, which it doesn't have anymore. That was an extremely broken thing back then. Superior had a Contrary ability, which was not released until like years later.
Contrary Superior is so fun though.
It really is, yeah. And yeah, like things like that. So my first team that actually one of my friends gave me, like I never used to build my own teams until I got comfortable with it. I used to always just take other people's teams and do like, stuff like that with it. And until I got more comfortable, the first team that I hit number 1 on the Dreamworld Loyal ladder with had a bunch of broken stuff. Like it had Hippowdon for Sand, then I had Sandvale Garchomp, Sandrush Excadrill, then I had Gliscor. So it's like 4 ground types, and then Genesect and Keldeo. So I hit number 1 in Dreamworld OU with that.
Hey, there you
then
go.
I started kind of getting the hang of it. Yeah. And then from there, I think then I retired that team because like I was like over that. Dreamworld OU became a thing of the past, and then it was sort of like the main OU tier for Gen 5. For the initial Gen 5 before Black and White, I was using a Rain team. This is a team that I actually, once again, hit number 1 with. It was a Politoed team because Rain was permanent. I had Choice Specs Tornadus, like regular Tornadus, because Therian was not invented by then.
Yeah.
It was a regular Choice Specs Tornadus. It was Chansey Skarmory, so I had the Chansey Skarmory core, Donphan, and Toxicroak with Dry Skin and Sub Bulk Up. Literally, what would happen was I would go into every single smaller server that Pokemon Online had a bunch of different servers. There was the main server, which I hit number 1 in. And then kind of like how Thanos tried to conquer the universe or like or Darkseid or whatever, like depending on whatever you like. So like I would literally go to every single server and become the champion of that server. Like I would literally go there and like, who's your best player? Send them out right now. I would crush them and just take over.
Send out your strongest soldier.
Yeah, send out your strongest soldier. I'm gonna crush them and I'm gonna take over this place. And I would do that for every single place that I would do. Like, those were fun times, man. Those were really fun times. I don't get the same vibe now, but I still have fun, with YouTube. This was before YouTube, of course, and as I was kind of like in my early stages of the competitive journey.
Yeah, definitely. So, like you said, you kind of you've been doing it for a while. You've had a lot of different teams. Have you ever had like a team or a meta that was particularly hard for you? It was really hard to create teams. It was hard to win, hard to run anything. Have you ever had like a Pokemon that you couldn't build around or a meta that you just couldn't figure out?
I would say probably no. So I guess like certain Pokemon took longer for me to make work than others, but at the end of the day, like I would always make something work. I think one of the longest things that took me to put in work was like Corsola or I don't know, like Beheeyem or something. Like it just took a little longer. It's like sometimes like I try to build around something, and if it doesn't work, I put it in the back burner until like I figure out a way to make it work, and then I just make it work. Like in terms of like a generation or like a meta game, there's always kind of a learning curve in terms of what's new and stuff like that. But like once you like know kind of the fundamentals of like how to build, it's like how to play the game and stuff like that. It's like you can incorporate that into your building and kind of get good at it. And like for example, I think maybe during when probably like Dynamax or something was like allowed in actual like singles competitive, which was crazy. That was a little bit trickier, but then once it was banned and stuff like that, it's like okay, yeah, like now I kind of like figure out how to build a bit better because it's like you can't prepare for everything. And I think because like when I started out in Gen 5, it was a lot easier to cover so many Pokemon on a singular team. And then once the generations kept going, it's like, yeah, like you can't really prepare for everything. And I think as more Pokemon were introduced, as more mechanics were introduced, like different kinds of like ways of playing and things, it became a little bit more difficult. But at the same time, it doesn't matter when you're building a team and playing this game, you have to just kind of maximize or minimize the amount of holes in your team, maximize the amount of Pokemon you can deal with. But you can't deal with everything. You have to acknowledge that. And so it just becomes harder each generation, but the knowledge that you have can kind of carry over through that. And so if you are learning how to play Pokemon, you have learned how to become good at the game, it will translate to future generations as well.
Yeah. And that's something that, people, if they think there's a large learning curve and coming into competitive, they just have to, realize like it's just a learning process. It's not impossible. And like you yourself are proving like even a Pokemon by itself is not impossible to use. It's just, it takes work and it takes learning and it takes, that effort that says like, you have to try again. Like that was
No,
attempt
exactly.
one,
Like,
scratch it, go again.
mhm. Exactly. You have the fundamentals, you have the foundation, and each new thing that's been introduced, it's going to be easier and easier because you have that kind of concrete thing that kind of like got you where you are today, kind of thing. So, if you're starting off new and everything like that, like it's going to be obviously difficult. But people that have like played since a previous generation will have an easier time learning and adapting to the new kind of things because it's the same concept. You're playing with six mons, you're predicting, you're doing all that kind of stuff. Maybe there are some new things here and there that you got to get used to, but you're just adding it to your skill set that you already have, and it's not as difficult. So for me, I wouldn't say that there's really been a difficult generation or something that's been like really like struggling for me. Like I think it was just the initial kind of from Gen 5, I think once I started to pick that up, every new generation, obviously it'll start off as like kind of a little bit like shaky, but then once you like play like a few dozen games or so, like it's like, okay, I got the hang of it. Like I know like what to do now and kind of like the movement and the motion that I need to go through to maneuver my Pokemon around this team or whatever. So it's like, it really helps to have kind of prior knowledge, but if you don't, then, check out my team building guide. That'll help you out too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if anyone's really struggling and trying to figure out how to build a team well, or what to kind of look for in a team and what covers what, I mean, checking out you or Joey, PokeAim, MD, both of your guys' channels, super, super helpful in trying to figure out that just competitive Pokemon scene.
Definitely. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So speaking of PokeAim, let's just get it right out in the open. 1v1, you versus PokeAim, who would win?
He's a good player. No, I mean, you know me. Like, obviously, if Joey were in the call, I'm gonna be like, "Yo, bro, I got you. I'm gonna destroy you. I got you." No, no, but he was the guy that got me into YouTube in the first place, and I used to also watch his videos even before that. So he's a really good friend of mine. He's a good player as well. Like, I mean, we've gone toe to toe before. And currently we are 1-1 in draft leagues. The first time that I played him in a draft league, because like think about it, right? Like we don't play against each other often, other than in monotype random battles. Yeah. Which, I mean, think about it. It's random battles. It's like you can't control the matchup you get. You can't control the team you get, and it's more of a fun thing. It's more of like it's less of a competition and more of just us like two good friends hanging out and having a good time with each other and just being good sports and just having a good session and things like that. But like when it comes to draft league, that's a different story, right? Like you got to try to play to win.
Yeah.
So I remember the first draft league game that I had against him, he had like a bunch of people helping him out. And then usually when it's draft league, it's just myself building my own teams and stuff like that. And I had, and the whole meme with like, him, I don't know if you know the meme or anything, but like, it's like, your team gets 6 of my Kyurem kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard of that one.
Yeah.
Actually, in fact, I had drafted Kyurem and then I just Dragon Tailed his entire team in one.
There we go.
And then, so that was like, the first time I played in Draft League, I absolutely crushed him. And then, of course, he got his revenge in the Sword and Shield Draft League that we had in the WBE, where I think he had Cinderace on that team, which was really good. And then I think I had like Grimmsnarl and he had like a sub Gardevoir or something. So he got his revenge on me. Like there were a lot of 50-50 mind games and all kinds of stuff like that took place. But it was definitely not as destruction worthy as the Kyurem, but he's definitely like a solid player. Like I think he considers me a rival. I consider him like also a rival. Like we're like kind of Ash and Gary in a sense. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. He seems like such a cool guy to talk to. I've never gotten the pleasure of talking to him, but I've been following him for a long time. I found him through.
I hope you do, man. I hope you do. He's a real bro. I hope you do get the chance to talk to him at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd love to. He just seems super cool, and like his videos really got me. I remember when it was 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago that I first saw him play in Showdown, and I was like, I'm gonna play this obsessively, and I did for like months. Just playing like match after match, this is a great website because I was watching Shofu's channel. He was on there, and I was like, "Oh, check out this guy," and then kind of led me down that rabbit hole. But yeah, he's the one that introduced me to Showdown even being a thing.
No, yes, yeah, he's a super good dude. Like, the king of Showdown, the king of Strong Jaw. I don't even know.
The king of Strong Jaw.
He's a fun man. he's my best friend. He's one of my best friends for sure.
Yeah.
I should also note that he hacks me out of a black and white OU tournament. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I'm still thinking about that. Like, come on, no.
I forgot about the Strong Jaw memes until you'd said that.
Strong Jaw, like, you get the Garchomp.
I know, yeah. Now that I keep thinking of all the memes. Now that you said his name, I was like, oh yeah.
he cuts diamonds, bro. Like,
oh yeah,
it's crazy. Nah,
yeah.
no. He's a great dude. So I do definitely recommend you all to check out his channel if you haven't. But I'm sure anyone watching this video would probably know who he was. If not, check him out. Get him to 300,000 subscribers. Get me to 100,000.
Yeah, both coming up.
Yeah.
So, speaking of your channel again, I'm going to turn a question that you asked your community on you. So, which style do you kind of prefer to play with? Offense, defense, or stall?
I prefer offense just because it's satisfying to just play quick games and stuff like that. Though, if I am in a tilted mode where I'm losing games via hacks, and I'm not kind of getting the fortune that I deserve and that I want, I will load up signature stall Emvee mode and I will go full on trigger on these people. Like, I will literally load up my signature, I don't know what, Jumpluff, Lapras, Dugong, Chimecho stall.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. I will load it up against them and I will literally just like make myself feel better. Give myself a pat on the back because like I know how to pilot literally any play style. And so like I actually, through my origin, I actually was more of a stallish, semi-stallish player, I would say. And then I started picking up other play styles and stuff like that. So I wanted to kind of become universal. I wanted to get the infinity stones of every play style and kind of rule the universe through infinite knowledge of every style that I could play. And so I would just learn and just play like that. But I like to play offense more because just because like there's a lot more ways of Pokemon in general, especially unique Pokemon running more offensive sets. There's a lot of unique Pokemon that run more defensive sets, but I always try to make a Pokemon shine. And when I try to make a Pokemon shine, the only way to make it shine is if it knocks out stuff, right?
Yes.
So if it does that, then you have to run it more offensively. So then it's more like balance / offense. So that's kind of what I mainly run. But then everyone's like, because ever since I introduced the signature stalls, it was like, yo, Emvee, bring the signature stall team, like bring that like signature stall. I'm like, yeah, I gotta throw a bone every once in a while and bring a signature stall team, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So that's kind of how I roll. But I like run. I know how to run all play styles. I love running any play style in general. Any team I build is something that I just love to run because I go through a testing process. A lot of like people that upload Showdown, a lot of YouTubers, they don't test their teams. They don't, or they get teams from other people. They don't build their own teams as well. So I am different in the sense that I actually build my own teams. I test my own teams, and then I win a lot with my teams because of the fact that I've gone through the process of minimizing the threats. I've gone through the process of ensuring that the team doesn't just straight up lose to something in particular. And so that's kind of what separates me, is like I actually make sure that the team is set for recording. Because like I always want to like kind of provide the best heat content as I can. And so I just want to make sure that the team is good. So I do a lot of testing before, and that's why I don't upload every single day. And also because I have a full-time job as well.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Yeah, there's like a lot of time commitment involved, but I just try my best to make sure that y'all have the best teams as possible that I can test and stuff like that. And not a lot of people on Showdown that they just like upload with whatever team they're given, or they don't test it or anything like that. I like to test and just make sure that everything's good, and for my own satisfaction as well as just to make sure that y'all have the best teams and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of what I do. Like I just feel comfortable with any kind of play style that I make, and I try to vary it up a bit. Like I upload with balance, offense, stall. I would say I'm more comfortable with offense just because of how aggressive I play. It really aggressively sometimes, but then like even with stall teams, I play pretty aggressive with stall teams too. I don't let the game drag out a lot, and as you know, as the opposed to like a lot of other stall players on the ladder, they want to drag the game out so much. And I don't do that. I literally have like ways of speeding up the game, and I use stall Pokemon like offensively. Like I don't know. Like if you've seen any of my stall videos, like you'll probably understand. But there's just so many ways of using different teams, and I feel like I'm pretty solid with like any kind of play style. I mainly like to run like more offensively style build teams.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad to hear too that you have a day ruiner teams. Whenever you've had a tough time, you can just put that team in. Because when I first started playing, I remembered if I lost a bunch, I would queue up a team that was I led with Blaziken with the Focus Sash with Speed Boost ability. Protect, Swords Dance, Protect, Baton Pass out to Mega Mawile, and then just wreck people's lives.
That was fun, bro. Back in the day, I would used to do that too. Like that was one of the easiest wins until they banned Baton Pass, unfortunately.
Yep, I know. Yeah, as I say now, I know that it's banned. Yeah, so
yeah. But I mean, it's been a minute. It's been quite a while since Baton Pass has been banned. It's been banned for a long time.
Yeah.
But that was like a huge like. I remember, bro, like back in Gen 5, like we used to have like Baton Pass Freedom, and then there'd be these Baton Pass teams. Like I remember like this one player that I would love to just crush every single time I faced them. They had like a full-on Baton Pass team, and it was like Ninjask, Mr. Mime, Vaporeon, and Gliscor, and like a bunch of other stuff like that. It was like a full-on Baton Pass team. They were like literally +6 to a stored power monitor, or some kind of like you know what I mean? Like it was
Absolutely.
like crazy back in the day. They banned Baton Pass, and I think also like Baton Pass, like Shell Smash Baton Pass was another thing. Like they used to Baton Pass to like Pikachu Bell, like the Pikachu that was wearing the dress that learned Ice Cold Crash.
Yeah. The contest Pikachu.
They used to Baton Pass into that and just sweep.
yeah. People loved Quiver Dance, Baton Pass, Swords Dance. Speed Boost
crazy.
Pokemon. I mean, Baton Pass used to be huge.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I'm glad that it's banned.
It makes sense, absolutely, because people like me
singles competitive play. It's insane. It's like it was absolutely crazy back in singles, but yeah, like it's. I mean, I like offense teams. I'm glad that Baton Pass is banned. Like that thing is so broken, man.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so kind of the last question that I have for you here, something that I try to ask all the guests that come on, just kind of get a feeling, because I feel like this really highlights Pokemon as a franchise. What is your favorite Pokemon memory?
Favorite Pokemon memory? Okay, well, let me break this up into like a couple things. So,
yeah.
Okay, so outside of the competitive video game wise, right? Favorite Pokemon memory was probably like all the cards that I used to collect and like open up, and I used to get so many like fire pulls and stuff like that. And like back in the old days, so I don't know if you also have the same as me, but like I sometimes dream randomly about Pokemon cards. I sometimes dream about like going into like a store and like opening cards and seeing all these rare cards and then waking up and like not having them anymore. That's the first thing. But like, man, I wish I had the money that I have now back in like the old days, because bro, every pack now that's worth $300 to $500 was worth $1 to $3.
It's like $3. Yeah. I wish.
Bro, like, man, that was like such a good moment. And I'm like, I don't know, like, cause like when I was like a kid and stuff like that, Pokemon cards were like the dream. Like that was literally cash on hand. I wish I preserved my cards better too. Like I still have some great cards from back in the day that like are probably like worth a lot, but I've saved them all. Like that's like kind of outside. Another great Pokemon memory. I mean, I saw back on like, so I guess more of a competitive related answer was I guess the day that I became Lord Emvee, because I never used to be Lord Emvee before. And it's not a self-proclaimed title. It was a title given to me. So actually what happened was back in the day, I used to be just Emvee with one hyphen dash on each side. So it was like dash Emvee dash, like kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I used to be Emvee. And then I won a tournament, a forum tournament for the Pokemon Online. This was before Smogon and stuff like that. So it was a huge tournament. A lot of people were playing. I won it. And then like 200 people were calling me Lord Emvee, or like, well, one person called me Lord Emvee, and then everybody like followed, like, okay, I'm gonna change my name. They're like, change your name. I'm like, okay, I'll change my name. I became Lord Emvee after I won that tournament.
It fits you well.
Thank you. And so yeah, that's when I became Lord Emvee. So that was a huge Pokemon moment for me. Another Pokemon moment. I feel like a really happy Pokemon moment was when I, which is now closed, unfortunately, was when I visited the Pokemon Center that was in New York. Have you ever been to that one?
I have not actually been to New York, so I wish I would have when it was open, but I have not yet. No.
When I was a kid, so like there was before they opened up Nintendo Store or whatever in New York,
Yeah,
there
yeah,
used to be the Pokemon Center, and that place was literally crazy fun. Oh my lord! Okay, so actually they had a giant like, oh, well, I guess I was really small back then, but to me it looked giant. It was like like an animatronic Groudon, bro.
Oh,
Like
that'd be
they had like
sick.
a Groudon thing, and it was like moving like a Groudon robot or something. It was absolutely fantastic, and like I got like Pokemon cards from there, and like it was really cool. Unfortunately, they closed down that Pokemon Center, and now it was replaced as
Like
Nintendo
it's
something.
like
Or,
Nintendo World or
you
something
know,
like that, right? Yeah.
I think so now,
Yeah.
yeah. But before it was purely strictly a Pokemon Center, and that was
I know.
so cool to me.
I wish we had some more in
That was
America.
really, I know, right? Like, I think it's now just in Japan, is it? Or
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yep.
even know where it is anymore. It's another place I want to really visit is Japan.
Absolutely.
Um, at some point in time, it's on the bucket list. I'm not going to die anytime soon. I got to live until 150 years old because I'm a Lord Envy, you know.
Yeah. 130 years old, still
But
building teams.
exactly. Other Pokemon fun memories. Yeah, it was just like, I mean, competitive wise, like I've won like a good number of tournaments back on like the Pokemon Online era, and then I've won like one Smogon tour before, and then I've um the competitive scene was fun, and then I think really like probably like I think some of the best Pokemon memories were like when I first started playing a brand new Pokemon game. I think like so like first started in Gen 3 when I got Pokemon Ruby. It was like the best moment of my life
Oh yeah. Yeah.
because like I was obsessed with Pokemon and I saw so many other people playing it. And I mean, I was a kid. Like my parents wouldn't get me this console and stuff like that. But then finally, like, cause I literally got straight A's in middle school just so that I could get that Pokemon game. Like I was obsessed. When I was in middle school, actually, Diamond and Pearl came out. They bought me a DS only if I got straight A's. It was insane what I had to do to make sure that that I got the game because otherwise I would not have gotten into Gen 4 because I wouldn't have gotten the game. But because I was doing so well in school and stuff like that, and then of course I stopped doing so well in school in high school and things like that because I was
Had other things going on.
yeah, exactly. There's just a bunch of different things that kind of went into like Pokemon for me.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It has a wide reach.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so we will go back to the trivia questions. So you think you're ready to answer these?
Absolutely.
Alrighty, so question 1. Sejun Park is a professional Pokemon player. In 2014, he won Worlds, becoming the first South Korean to do so. Not only this, but he also won with the help of a very unconventional Pokemon. Which Pokemon was that?
So usually I'm not very accustomed to VGC related questions,
Yeah.
but I know this one. It's general knowledge. Everyone should know this one if they have played competitive Pokemon. It's a Pachirisu.
Yes, Pachirisu.
Excellent.
That's
Make
the
sure
only
they're not
VGC
all
one, too.
VGC questions though, because
Yeah, no.
good. Yeah.
No.
It's funny because like so I actually so a little bit of a backstory. I guess well not really a backstory, but like I used a Pachirisu in a video that I did for Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl because I think Pachirisu is not included in Sword and Shield. And then
Correct,
people
yeah.
were commenting about the whole Sejun Park thing, but I knew about that like even before that was a thing. So like I know a little bit of like the famous Heat history because as a Heat connoisseur myself, I gotta know who else has used the Heat in kinds of competitive settings. So
Absolutely. I was like, I'll put one in there because this one's so famous for being such a wild Pokemon. I'll throw it in there.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Alrighty, question 2. Name 2 of the 3 Pokemon introduced in Gen 8 that are not legendary or mythical and in the Smogon Uber tier.
That are in the Smogon Uber tier.
Yep, you only have to name 2 of the
Non-legendary,
3.
non-mythical. Okay, so I will name you 3 of them. So the first one is Cinderace, which was banned from the OU tier, moved to Ubers due to its Libero ability and how powerful it is in general. I think that was one of the more recent bans. Then we have Galarian Darmanitan. That Pokemon, I think, I don't recall if it was banned before certain other Pokemon, but That Pokemon's guerrilla tactics, it was absolutely crazy. So another non-legendary that was banned. Then we have Dracovish, which was put in Ubers as well, which that Pokemon I remember clearly was just so insane, with Vicious Rend doing so much damage, and then Rain boosted Vicious Rend. Like, literally, if you didn't have a water absorb Pokemon or something that was immune to water type attacks, like a Storm Drain Pokemon, you basically lost. Like, that Pokemon was crazy. So those are the 3 Pokemon. I didn't even have to name. I got all 3 right here for you.
You
bro.
got the bonus points. You got the bonus points.
Yeah.
Yeah, seems like you got a pretty good grasp on that one.
Definitely.
This pure psychic Pokemon has been banned in most generations. This is due to the combination of its ability that prevents escaping and its moveset. What is this Pokemon?
That prevents escaping, and its moveset. This Pokemon is Wobbuffet.
Correct. Nice job, my man.
And I know this because I use so actually I'm a little more popular for Wobbuffet due to the fact that I used it in Draft League. In my very first YouTube Draft League, I drafted a Wobbuffet and I used that. And I think I was one of the people that popularized Custap Wobbuffet, because I started using that a lot and it started gaining a lot of traction in competitive Pokemon. So what happens is if you are below 25% HP, like, because you're using Mirror Coat and Counter when you're trapping Pokemon and they're doing damage to you, so they're trying to knock you out, and then you are essentially bouncing back their attacks and knocking them out in the process. And then when you're below 25%, you have Destiny Bond on Wobbuffet, because Wobbuffet only knows like a good 4 or 5 moves or so, like 5 or whatever moves that you want to run on it, and then Destiny Bond with Custap Berry would be like the next thing that knocks out a Pokemon. So it's a really fun Pokemon, and I actually do have a Wobbuffet plushie that I got from a VGC tour when I played like one tour.
There you go. My man knows the science.
Indeed.
Question 4. In Generation 6, a new Smogon tier was created called Anything Goes, largely in part to one incredibly powerful Pokemon that was too strong for Ubers. What Pokemon was that?
Generation 6. Anything Goes. I've never played the Anything Goes tier, but I do recall one Pokemon that was, I think, sent to Anything Goes, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was Mega Rayquaza.
Correct. There you go. Too strong for Ubers.
Yeah, I remember that, and I think that Pokemon still to date is probably the strongest, if not, like, I'm pretty sure it's the strongest Pokemon. I was thinking of also Ultra Necrozma as another competitor in that field, but I think that still Mega Rayquaza is like the strongest Pokemon out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thing is definitely jacked.
Yeah.
And then lastly, back in Generation 1, there were 4 Pokemon that dominated the competitive scene, often called the Big Four. Name 2 of the Big Four.
2 of the Big Four in Generation 1. So I only started competitive in Generation 5. I've never played a Gen 1 game before. Oh, shoot. Was Tauros one of them?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that's one of them. Let me think here. So I know about Tauros because, like, I just remember that mon having like Hyper Beam or whatever and doing a lot of things. Was another one Snorlax?
Correct. That's 2. You got it.
Okay. Let's think. There's another one. I think it was Executor.
Correct.
Okay, and then
the 4th one stuck around for a long time, to be honest. Like, it still gets used by a lot of people in OU today.
Oh, I mean, probably Chansey then, right?
Chansey.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah. I got it.
Yeah, I was like, that one stuck around. It did not fall like the rest of them did.
Yeah. Okay, bro, I haven't even played Gen 1 before. I haven't even seen like Gen 1. I mean, I've seen like a game or 2 of Gen 1 OU, but I got it. Like, there we go.
Yeah, definitely. Nailed it. Killing it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, you nailed it. You definitely got all of them on there and went above and beyond on all the ones where you had optional answers. So you definitely got 6 out of 5 on that one.
Thank you. Actually, it's funny because I am a Pokemon master, and my nickname in real life sometimes is Ash. Sometimes.
Hey, there you go. It all comes together.
Indeed.
Let's wrap this up. Do you have any parting words, any promotions, or anything to watch out for coming up on your channel?
Absolutely. So I'm currently in the process of buying PC parts. I do want to eventually start streaming. So hopefully you all will be there for that. Subscribe if you're new. I would appreciate it a lot because we are on the road to 100K. And yeah, if you enjoy Pokemon in general, if you want to win with your favorites, if you want to make sure that you can use any Pokemon and make it work, because feel free to recommend things. I will use them. And yeah, check out my channel. I'm specializing in just using any Pokemon, using your favorites, and I do live by Karen's words, where strong Pokemon, weak Pokemon doesn't matter. Truly, skill trainers win with their favorites. So yeah, check me out. I think you'll enjoy the channel if you've not seen me before and are new. Check me out.
Yeah, absolutely. I, for one, love Lord Envy's channel. Definitely great. He really can make a team out of any Pokemon. Not only that, but the content that he puts out around these Pokemon, fantastic. I really enjoy it whenever people get a little salty about the losses that you're dishing out to them. But definitely check him out for this streaming, because that should be pretty fun. I'm sure you'll have appearances from Pokeaim and people like that. So definitely we'll have a very
Absolutely,
interesting, fun stream.
and you already know, bro. Any salty player, if they say something, it ends up in the thumbnail text. The thumbnail text is also very important too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I must mention that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it whenever you're like, and there's that. I needed that for the thumbnail. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like, appreciate the thumbnail text. I appreciate it. GG.
Alrighty, well, I want to thank you again for being a guest on the show, Lord Emvee. I want to thank Jorge Benes for making an amazing theme for this podcast, and I want to thank all you listeners out there that made it this far. We will be back with another episode in just 2 weeks, so make sure to follow the podcast and watch out for that episode. Until then, I will catch you next time when the adventure continues.